In the days before we had computers and tablets and smartphones and we recorded everything we wanted to remember there, my mentor taught me the 3x5 file system. And whenever I found something I wanted to remember or thought I could use in another sermon, I would write it down on a 3x5. And please know that your words and thoughts are remembered long after you are gone. So from the Perigo Christmas card of 1986. Teach us, Lord, to be a gentle people. The Lord's Prayer is undoubtedly one of the most consistently shared pieces of our faith tradition. If we ever want to be as inclusive as we can and have the congregation participate, at least in a Christian context, we share the Lord's Prayer. My Jewish friends even say that if Jesus had remained a charismatic Jewish teacher, instead of becoming the Messiah for some of us, if he had remained that, his prayer could have been in their liturgy. It is as basic as you can get and as universally known as anything we say together. That does not mean that we don't sometimes get it wrong. Some of the youngest among us thought that the prayer gives a clue to God's name, but even they disagree about that. For instance, one child thought that God's name was Art, as in art in heaven. But another child thought it was Howard, as in Howard be thy name. Yet another knew the deep truth of prayer, that it is give and take. It's not just God's name. This is what the other child said. Our Father who art in heaven, how'd you know my name? It's give and take. This is the prayer that through delightful ears and imaginative interpretation of children, we sometimes hear very humorous phrases that are particularly dear to us because they come from the voices of our children, young voices, children, the most precious gift God has given us. And when they say those funny kinds of things, we take it to heart because it means they are learning to pray. But you know what we say about Christian education, faith formation around here? It is a participation sport. It is a lifetime occupation. We want to be a learning, thinking, questioning church. One of the characteristics you have told me as we've had those 10 questions among us is that we are a thinking church. Doesn't mean we always get it right. Doesn't mean we're smart. It just means we know we need to think. We do not take our faith for granted here. We do not approach it without questions. We believe that learning is lifelong. Because it takes a long time. It takes a whole life to become a disciple, to learn to follow Jesus. And Jesus lived a life of prayer. He was always talking to God and God to him. You remember the exchange in his baptism? God said, "You are my son, the beloved. With you I am well pleased." You remember the exchange at the moment of Jesus' death? My God, why have you forsaken me?" Jesus was always in touch with God, talking to God, and listening to God. And if Jesus could do that, so can we. Richard Rohr is a Franciscan priest. He founded the Center for Action and Contemplation. And Rohr says, if the church is not teaching its people how to pray, it doesn't have any reason for existence. Some of you may know George Buttrick, now sainted. He combined a scholar's mind and a pastor's heart and a preacher's passion. And he said that the decline of the church prayer meeting is more a disturbing system of our ill health than the decline of church attendance. Wonder when we had our last prayer meeting. I just saw the movie Lady Bird. It's already been here, but you'll be able to get it on Redbox pretty soon. It's a story of a senior in high school, and she has all the aches and pains of reaching adulthood, and she's trying to break away because next year she's going to be at college, and she wants to go far, far away. It's also the story of her mother's aches and pains of letting her go. And there is every indication that Lady Bird cannot get far enough away from Sacramento, her hometown. She wants to be done with it. Sister Sarah Joan, though, has read her college essay and pronounced it very good. And Sister Sarah Joan says to Lady Bird, "You must love Sacramento." No, I just pay attention. And Sister Sarah Jones says, love and paying attention are very close, aren't they? Very close. We don't pay attention to things we don't love. We do pay attention, a lot of attention, to things that we do love. Simone Weil, a French philosopher, said that prayer is attention. Love, prayer, attention. So what have you been attending to lately? What has caught your attention? Parkland, 17 deaths and many others wounded. The 18th shooting in this year alone, and we are only 49 days into the new year. 290 shootings since 2013, that's about one a week. And an AR-15 used in Aurora, Orlando, Las Vegas, Sandy Hook, the Texas Church, San Bernardino, and now Parkland. The United Church of Christ clergy met this week. Now, 2 meetings ago, we decided we needed to make a public witness, and so we decided that every time there was a shooting, we would have a vigil. That would be 18 vigils since the first of the year, and our organizers said, we simply can't do that. Do I sound angry? You bet I'm angry. And those parents and those teachers and the other students at Parkland and Sandy Hook and Benton, Kentucky are too. That is, they're angry when they're not crying. And I'm angry with those students, especially the ones who have said, and I quote, "Thoughts and prayers are not enough. We need action. We need to act. And unless we do, we are like those hypocrites that Lisa read about for us." Hypocrites. Because you see, Jesus is not teaching us to pray and think and not do anything, to express our thoughts and prayers and think that is enough. So I'm angry with those students who have called us out and said, your prayers, your thoughts and prayers are simply not enough. And I'm going to tell you, I'm angry with those who take money from the NRA and do not pass legislation that would make a difference. And this is going to be a nonpartisan illustration. In this 2016 election cycle, the last one for which we have an accounting, one party received $5,900,000 and the other party $106,000, and that makes a grand total of $6,006,000. Now, I tried to find out about Indiana. You can go to the website and find out all kinds of things. I tried to find out about Indiana. Did any of our people take their money? Well, they only listed those who took more than $100,000, and so none of our folks got that money or that much, which means one of two things. Either our politicians can't be bought. Now, that's a good thought, isn't it? Or the NRA is so secure in how Indiana is, they didn't bother to give us any money. So it's easy for me to get angry, and to get angry at the national legislature and the president, because that's where everything is focused. But the tens of millions of dollars that were spent in the years in support of gun rights, only a small portion went to the members of Congress. Most of it go to the local states because that's where the decisions are made. Have you followed the concealed carry thing? So I'm angry about the shootings. and I'm angry about our leaders. But most of all, my friends, I am angry at myself. The last town I served had we had police and they were good folks, but we also had a post office shooting, handguns. And we had a domestic violence shooting. An upset dad shot his wife and kids as they got out of the swimming pool at the Y. And I attended the rally after the post office shooting, and I counseled with the kids at the school whose friends had been shot. And I did anything Dorothy McGann asked me to do. Anything. Because Dorothy was a Septuagint. That means she was over 70, a good bit over 70, and she had fibromyalgia, and anything that she did took enormous energy. And she and John planned their whole days around trying to pass handgun legislation. And we collected shoes for all the kids and all the people who had been shot with a handgun. Forget the AR-15. I did all that. But I've done precious little since. So I share my concern and my anger with you today. Now, I know some of you have asked for no more politics from the pulpit, but I think we define politics differently. My definition of politics is the power to get things done. And I want Bethel Church to be at least as relevant as Jimmy Kimmel and late night TV are. We may not be that influential, but we can be that relevant. And besides, if we're looking at the Lord's Prayer today, did you hear what it said? We say it so often we don't even think about it. But it says, "Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." And I don't believe children are shot in heaven. And I don't believe teachers have to put their bodies over their kids to keep them from being shot. And I don't believe parents have to give their children doorstops to put in their backpacks so that if the lock is shot off their classroom, they can still block the shooter so he won't come in with a doorstop. I saw that on Facebook last night. Do you think that really helps? Maybe so. It works? Okay, so give your kids a doorstop. But can you imagine in 2018 having to do that? I hope you're angry with me. And not just me, those kids that are in Parkland who say our thoughts and prayers are not enough. I'm angry about the shooting. I'm angry about the lawmakers in Washington and in Indianapolis. And I'm angry at myself. But you know what? The good news is we don't have to stay angry. We can do something. And Jimmy Kimmel says, go to everytown.org. So I'd say, go to everytown.org. Because in this one, I believe in Jimmy Kimmel. I also believe in the Paragos. Teach us to be a gentle people. And I believe in Holly Near. Holly Near wrote this song that has been going through my head ever since I worked on this sermon. She wrote it after the assassination of Harvey Milk. It sounds like something some of us would have known from the 60s when we were angry. But I invite you to listen to it and to think about it and to let it seep into your soul. Now, it's going to be kind of generic, but this afternoon I'm going to be singing, "We are a gentle, angry people, and we're singing for our lives." We are a gentle, angry people, and we're singing for our schools. We are a gentle, angry people, and we're singing for our kids. We are a gentle, angry people, and we're singing for our God.